280 miles south of Moscow is the city of Kursk, a major population center and transport hub. In early 1943, the city is newly liberated by the Soviets after nearly a year of brutal Nazi occupation.
Roughly 10,000 inhabitants of the city of Kursk died from malnutrition in the 18 months that the Germans were there.
Landmines and ruined buildings are the Germans' legacy. The city's devastation is obvious. But the Nazis still want it back.
By the summer of 1943, the Germans are finding it increasingly difficult to sustain a very long front in the Soviet Union.
Kursk sits in the center of a large bulge, or salient, protruding 100 miles into German territory.
The Germans' ambition is to remove that bulge so they can release resources by flattening the line.
In Operation Citadel, Hitler plans attacks to the north and south that will link up, reclaim the entire area, and stabilize the front line. His military advisors are keen to attack as soon as the weather allows. But the Führer decides to wait until early July to allow the new generation of tanks time to reach the front line.
Kursk is do or die for the Germans. They're really laying everything they have, all their new weaponry, on a single throw of the dice. If this doesn't work, they're done.
At the Kremlin, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin considers how to react to the impending attack.
In the first 2 years of the war, the most significant successes that the Red Army enjoyed were at the point where a German advance had exhausted itself, and then the Red Army was able to carry out a large counteroffensive on weaker flanks.
Stalin decides to use Kursk as bait in a giant trap. The Red Army will build defenses to stop the Nazis once and for all, then unleash a massive counterstrike. Soviet civilians in the area now become a vital resource. Just 2 months after being liberated from Nazi rule, 300,000 Kursk residents are pressed into service for the Red Army and begin to turn farmland into a fortress. But trench digging is just the tip of the iceberg.
The Red Army is now becoming an army for all intents and purposes of occupation. Not occupation in the same way that the Germans occupy the territory, mind you, but it still needs to be fed. It still needs to be cared for.
Propaganda films show the civilian population taking on all aspects of Red Army rear services, from food supply to medical care. They build a brand new 60-mile railroad to speed hundreds of tanks to the front line. It's German Totale Krieg versus Soviet Totalnaya Vojna, the total war of half a continent, focused on Kursk.